It's
Yeah,
me.
welcome. Yeah, welcome to Freak.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
What's
blessings. We
going
got a little
on?
bit. Yeah, we got a little bit of show left for you guys. I mean, it is what it is. You guys already know. But yeah, let me pop in on this notion that I've been explaining for about an hour. If I could only find the text. Okay, here it is. And yeah, we'll get right into what he's saying here. And I'd like to start a little bit behind where we actually last uh, stopped reading. And give me a second here. Okay, here we are. Okay. All right, here we go. So I looked at some of what Warwick is involved in there, right? And he says here, okay, there's two factors that perhaps far more important in the way in which we sense the world. First, human brains have evolved to perceive and understand the world in terms of three dimensions. Four, if you include time as a dimension. He says this suffocates human thinking and beliefs about what is possible and what is not. Meanwhile, machines have the ability to process multidimensional information. They have the potential to perceive the world in hundreds of dimensions. Okay, now he says, in fact, we now have enormous problems in attempting to deal with the plethora of information that technology throws up. Even greater than this, and we must be completely honest on this one, in comparison with technology, the way in which humans communicate is so poor that it is embarrassing, he says. Human speech is serial, error prone, and an incredibly slow way of communicating because of our use of mechanical, low speed sound waves. Our coding procedures, called languages, notice how he made that leap. The coding procedures called languages. If you watch the first part of this show, then you're understanding exactly how he made this leap. Severely restrict our intellectual abilities, as all our thoughts and ideas must be transformed into speech signals that do not accurately represent the original concept. Actually, there's been a series of different ideas that they employed to have machines interpret information. I might play some of that tomorrow because I saw some interesting videos on that sort of thing. But
So,
yep.
when he says that the machines are able to uh, decode, I guess you could say decode hundreds of dimensions. How does he know that?
By the fact that they can not only assess things in 3D, but they could assess, microscopic world. I mean, right? They could look at space through maybe a satellite or something like that. So he's saying that they could look at things. They could look at information from a series of different perspectives, and they could perceive the world through these various, quote unquote, dimensions, if you will, right? In
Mm.
terms of the way you view things, right? So he's saying that they could simultaneously perceive information. Like, for example, a machine could render mathematical aspect of this information. It could render a visual aspect of it, right? How a human would view it in a 3D environment, right? Or it could render aerial view. It could do a series of perspectives and shifts in perspective that human cannot. So he's
Yes.
saying that in that way, since it's able to interpret, many different dimensions of information, it's probably better at communicating, right?
Hmm. Yeah. All right. But it's the same dimension with uh, multiple sources to pull from, I guess you could say. Oh, a lot faster. But to say dimension is, I think, a little bit. I mean, I guess it applies, but I just wanted to clarify that. Because they're still subject to the electricity, and linear time. So it's not like it's going to be able to. Um, it can't know everything all at once, like God could. Anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting to understand, and actually Christian philosophers and Islamic philosophers have thought about this sort of thing for many, many centuries. They've argued in terms of philosophy of mind about how God perceives the world and what God understands and how God's mind, quote unquote, interacts with the world. Obviously, the God's mind being separate from God is sort of a Gnostic concept, right? But then again, right, it's sort of interesting, right? To think about, right? How does God perceive the world, interact with the world, and that some have assessed that technology will have godlike powers in comparison to humans, right? People like Kurzweil, Minsky, they've all used that terminology, right? Even Musk, right?
Yeah.
So what do they mean by that, right? And he's saying, well, they're incredibly better at communicating than humans, right? He's saying our coding procedures are called languages, and they severely restrict our intellectual abilities, right? And of course, we've moved more into a symbolic framework, right, through the use of visual media, right? And so here it goes, right? He says, so let us look at the possible alternative future scenario to which intelligent robots rule the planet. Is it possible for us to conceive of a creature that starts out as a human but takes on technological capabilities in order to upgrade their potential? In science fiction terms, such creatures are referred to as cyborgs, a cybernetic organism, part human, part machine. Would it be possible for such a creature to understand the world in many more dimensions, to have memory and mathematical capabilities of a computer, to sense the world in all sorts of ways, to have physical abilities much greater than any human, and most important of all, to communicate not only by means of speech signals, but by thought signals alone? This truly would be more natural form of evolution, he says.
Do you know what ASCII is?
No.
It's like one of the layers of language. It's actually kind of called machine language. It's one layer above machine language, and that's how, like, we type in the programming code and everything, and it all gets kind of translated into a base, what's called machine language. That is kind of a mystery, but it's the way that the machines talk to each other. And ASCII is one layer above that, and it's like what you see on the screen with a bunch of those like weird, different little weird like computer symbols, like a smiley face or a heart, or like a square box, and it's all kind of gerbled like characters like that. Uh, so the machines have their own kind of language that, yeah, we punch in the programming and all that stuff, but it breaks down into the machine language, and that's how they talk to each other. So it's interesting that uh, yeah, the communication is a lot different. I guess words and language is a slow sound wave, but like I think until we get to the hereafter, where it's like mind to mind, we're gonna be we're gonna be out processed, basically. Minimum.
Oh yeah, that's what he says. He says, as far as humans go, big question is what of our future? Will we adapt, survive, retain our position, or is it likely that something more powerful than humans will emerge to steal the spotlight? And then he compares our intelligence to other creatures, and he says how basically we treat those creatures, right? And then he says that basically most people in the West, they rely on machines for most of their daily existence, for purification of the water, the air, the food, right? So he's pointing out that human beings are reliant on machines, that machines have surpassed humans in intelligence, in completing certain tasks, and that um there's a huge gap between humans and the last evolutionary leap or whatever. So he's kind of saying that because they believe in evolution, right? So it's interesting.
See, evolution in terms of merging, like bio, cybernetics or something like that. Where they are basically installing machine parts into humans and stuff like that, or like
Oh
regular
yeah.
evolution.
Yep, that's exactly where we're at, freak. That's exactly where we're at, my friend.
Hmm.
Yeah. And he's saying and he says lately machines have been employed not only because their physical capabilities, but also they can handle our decision making. He points out an example for machines performing as complex a function as buying stocks on the stock market. And then he says, as time passes, machines are being allowed to take more and more roles, and this necessarily leads us to ask, how far will it go? Okay, and finally, he says that a combination with machines and humans would be a natural form of evolution. What does that even mean? Right, then he says we can look at the future at which it is not intelligent robots that dominate the planet or humans, but rather cyborgs acting as upgraded humans. Of course, the regular humans in that society would be, either wiped out or kept in a zoo or something like that, right? So he says, how is this to be achieved? Okay, he's going to cut to the chase here, right? Quite simply, with silicon chip technology implanted into the human body. Well, there it is, folks.
Mm.
Merely one or two very small devices that connect directly with the human nervous system and the brain. In this way, electronic signals in silicon become electromechanical signals in the human body and vice versa. Ultimately, no doubt, the device will be implanted by means of a swift and simple injection. At first, microscale devices will be employable. And if technology develops as expected, this will probably be surpassed by nanoscale connections. Notice what he just said. What are we looking at here is not extra memory being connected directly into the brain, but implants used as interfaces linking the human nervous system to remote computer networks by radio frequencies, folks.
Right. The remote. Yeah.
RFID. Humans will need to be educated. Oh, yeah, they sure will be. Are you guys educated on what's going on? Right, in the ways in which it is best to use this technology. In the fullness of time, our children's children will look back with wonder how their ancestors could have been so primitive as to communicate by means of silly little noises called speech. With brains linked to technology, he says, there will be no need to learn much. Yeah, what do you got to learn? You already have access to all the info. Why should we? End of learning. Post-human. When the computer can do so much better, why should we learn when the computer can learn for us, right? There will be no need to remember anything because computers have better storage facilities. Who needs memory? When it is required to recall something, when it will be possible simply to download the necessary piece of information. It will even be possible to relive memories that you didn't yourself experience in the first place, like Black Mirror, where we all know how that went in that show. Perhaps you are thinking, well, this is all well and good. Who's thinking that? What world is this guy living in, right? Crazy, even. But it is not really going to happen. It is merely from the pages of science fiction, a flight of fancy, he says. Well, think again, he says. It was the first step on this path that I took in my operation on March 14th. As a result, by means of radio transmitter receiver unit, for a period of over 3 months, my nervous system was directly linked with the computer on a regular basis, he says. We were able to transmit signals from my nervous system. During that time, we carried out a range of experiments. Signals from the nervous system in my left arm were used to control the movement of a remote robot hand. As I opened and closed my own hand, the neural signals from my brain that carried out the action were also used to control the robot hand. My body was effectively extended with the computer to include a robot hand. Next, my nervous system signals were used to drive around a small-wheeled robot. Left, right, forward, back. The same signals were used to decide the mood of a group of small robots called Diddybots. Uh-oh. I was going to wish you changed the name of those.
Definitely.
Little baby
The mood,
Diddybots
the mood,
with little
like-
Johnson oil.
yeah. The mood, like their feelings. Is that what it said? Mood?
Yeah, they did an interesting show on Radiolab. The guy who created Furbies, he designed them to have emotions, and he believes that the Furbies have real emotions, by the way. Interesting. Because he thinks that, well, the biochemical impulses that control your emotions are a bit of the same stuff. So yeah, with my hand open, the Diddybots acted in friendly fashion, flocking together. Pause. With my hand closed, the Diddybots tried to get away from each other. Take that, take that, take that. As fast as they could. Using my own neuroscience, I could control the I could control the movement of virtual me inside of a virtual house. I could move the virtual me from room to room. Inside each room, I could select objects on a menu and choose to operate specific pieces of technology. I could switch on lights or a coffee maker. But when I did, actual lights or coffee maker was activated. I could control my local environment merely by signals from my nervous system.
I wonder
Yeah,
if
like
that
this-
would have to be where he's like, actually seeing his virtual hand doing this stuff, or if he could just think it at a certain point.
Well, he said using my own neural signals.
Mm-hmm.
So he's using his neural signals to control a virtual person in a virtual house. When they switch on the coffee maker in the virtual world, the real one switches on. So it's still 2 steps removed from him doing it, him switching on the coffee maker himself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, imagine if a virtual you could program functions remotely, right? I think that's the next step, and they would program that by neural signals that they get from directly via your brain. And how do we know that's not happening right now with most of us, that they're already running simulations of us in some virtual world? Okay, but anyways.
I mean, if you're talking like space exploration or, going to other planets and stuff, I can see where that could be, useful. where you could have
Yeah, they might have a program called Earth 2 where they're running virtual simulations of all of us.
I mean, if they have the Internet of Bodies,
but then it's just a matter of flipping the switch where it's the centralized power and we're all being controlled by it.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, DeFreak. That is a huge danger.
Then you can't stop jerking off all day.
Yeah. I mean, the obvious question is that if you're sending messages to the machine, then what's to stop the machine from sending messages to you, especially when it's better at thinking than you are? Right? This guy's such a fucking dummy. Right? But yeah,
we got control of your hand. You know, what are you gonna be doing with that hand all day? Like, you know, I'm just saying.
He's probably jerking himself off with his robot hand.
Yeah.
Probably can't stop himself because the machine is directly linked to his thoughts.
The machine is like, I want to know what this stuff is all about. You know, I see this on the
internet. So she's like, hold up, let me see it. What's that meme where it's like, man, I'm out here stroking it or whatever. Right, there's that meme going around here.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, where they like have the machine. It's like, oh, I'm out here stroking my dick, or whatever. Like they put a black guy, like a splice of black guys saying that into random situations or whatever. Right, but yeah. But yeah, so he goes on to say messages from my nervous system. Yeah, and that's actually a joke by George Carlin. He says, "Hey, Mr. Spaceman, while you have your other hand free, why don't you reach over here and fondle my balls?" Pretty funny joke. See, he goes, "Hey, Mr. Spaceman, Oh yeah,
yikes.
We need to clip the shit out of that thing. Right? But yeah, messages from my nervous system were used to control the appearance of jewelry worn by my wife." Probably shocked that lady whenever he wanted to. I need to control my wife like that. As I squeezed her hand, the jewelry turned from bright red to a luminous blue. What the fuck?
That's got to be in the virtual sector, right?
Virtual jewelry, mood jewelry. You mean? Ultimately, ultimately, it will be moods and feelings that direct the jewelry. Obviously, they'll have art. They'll have visual art that responds to people's neural, and right. Like it'll try to enhance their neural performance or whatever, right? So they'll have art that shifts, in the virtual space to match your, displacement. And these are all cybernetic systems, right? With my hair shaved off and electrodes positioned around my head, he says we were able to link and associate signals picked up. Okay, we're way over time. Picked up in my brain with those being witnessed in my arm. I wore a blindfold, and the output from the ultrasonic sensors fitted to my cap was fed down directly onto my nervous system. As I moved towards an object, I felt more and more pulses of current on my nervous system. As I moved away from the object, the pulses died down. In this way, I could have I could move around and avoid objects without any visual input. I had a sixth sense, a bat-like sense, with signals traveling directly from the ultrasonic sensors along my nervous system to my brain.
That's far out, man.
And he says, on May 20, 2002, I traveled to Columbia University in New York. And from there, an internet link, and I don't, he's, everybody tells these types of stories. So notice that he may be embellishing a bit. but yeah, on May 20, 2002, I traveled to Columbia University in New York, and from there, an internet link was created between my nervous system in New York and my laboratory in Reading University in the UK. I was able to move the robot hand around again using my neural signals via the internet. This time, I was in New York, but the robot hand was in UK. Uh-oh. The ghost hand. As a cyborg, my nervous system extended across the internet. Okay. We were also able to send impulses of current from Reading University via the internet to New York. When 3 pulses were sent, my fingers were stimulated 3 times. Back in the UK, so I was right. They can send the signals from the machine back to the human. Back in the UK, which I guess he doesn't notice the danger of that, right? Back in the UK, effectively, if they implant the system within anybody, they can shut them off anytime they want, right? Back in the UK, a few weeks later, touch sensors on the fingers of the robot hand were employed to provide signals directly onto my nervous system, allowing me to detect just how much force the hand was applying. With a blindfold on, I could get the robot hand to grip an object with just sufficient force. By employing the same method I had used earlier to move around a small wheeled robot using signals from my nervous system, I was able to drive myself around on a wheelchair, forward, backward, left, right. I wasn't a good driver. In the final experiment, my wife Irina had electrodes pushed into her median nerve as well. Signals were picked up from her nervous system, transmitting across the internet and played down to my nervous system. The same thing happened in reverse. When she opened and closed her hand 4 times, I felt 4 pulses on my nervous system.
You got the
Does he mean
wife
by,
in on it too.
Oh yeah.
what does he mean by pulses? Like just, like a like an electric shock? Like, did it prompt him to actually open his hand too? Or is it just he felt it, but like he didn't voluntarily, or involuntarily open his hand? Plus, like sometimes it sounds like the interface is just the arm, but other times it sounds like when he says, my nervous system, he's talking about like it's almost directly already into his brain.
Yeah, he definitely would be a fascinating person to have a conversation with, to ask him just exactly all of this stuff, how it felt, what it was like, and how, if any way, anyone could have recorded that he had these sensations, right, through like some sort of electrical impulses. I think was hooked up to like some kind of EKG machine or something like that. But yeah, it's interesting. Not like how exactly did they measure the subjective feeling of him, feeling the pulses, right? It's a good
Yeah,
question,
and then
Dupree.
the sixth sense of like basically having built-in radar.
Yeah, I think
Being
that's
able
like I think that was a little bit of embellishing, right? I think he was.
yeah.
I think he was going a little bit of right. He's
That
like,
radar sense.
yeah, like I'm a superhuman, bro. Just trust me, bro.
It's
It's like,
like
all right,
going
dude.
nuclear submarine or something.
It's like, all right, dude. It's like what you are is you're controlled by a machine, right? That's what you've been able to demonstrate, right? But yeah, so let's check this out. I mean, it says in this so it says in this way humans will be able to evolve by harnessing the super intelligence and extra abilities. Oh wait. Yeah, I skipped a bunch. Whoops. Oh yeah, we're at his wife Irina and the impulses she sent him. Okay, we had successfully achieved in a very basic way of the first direct human nervous system to nervous system communication. Okay, this is in 2002, folks. May I remind you? Okay, then he says, obviously, with implants positioned directly in the brain rather than merely the nervous system, this will result in primary form of thought and communication. Far from being science fiction, all these things are science fact. They've been achieved in practice quite clearly. The next few years, we'll see many more such trials, brain implants linking memory and motor functions of human brain to a computer are immediate steps. Sorry, but yeah, we showed on this show where a guy made robot arms for a girl, right, where she controls them with her brain. Right now, that a cyborg path has been successfully trodden, he says, the route to a cyborg society is definitely on the horizon. In this way, humans will be able to evolve by harnessing the superintelligence and extra abilities offered by the machines of the future. It would not be a case of robots acting against humans, but rather a case in which we join with them, he says.
Hmm.
It will not be necessary for everyone to become a cyborg, he claims. There may be those who would prefer to remain human, and what will be their condition? If you are happy with your lot as a human, then so be it. It's your choice, he says in a rather ambivalent fashion. But remember this, he says, just as us humans split from our chimpanzee cousins many years ago, so cyborgs will split from the humans. Those who elect to remain human will become a mere subspecies. That's right. We're going to have to fight people who are combined with the machines, folks. With extrasensory abilities, a high performance machine, means of communication, and the best of human and machine brains, it will be cyborgs that take control. For me, there is no argument. My goal is clear. I want to be a cyborg, so we know what side he's on.
Sounds like his mind has been co-opted by the cyborg too, like to join them, like total co-op.
Yeah. He separated humans into two classes. He called one subspecies. He then claimed that you will be allowed to remain human, but that obviously these two will be in a totally different position, and he said what side he's on. So the question is, what side are you people on? Really good question, isn't it? Am I talking to humans or machines?
Maybe these
That's
will
what I'm
be
trying
the space cadets, going out and these will be the ones that are going and mining the moon for minerals or, rare moons or whatever. But like, if it just is contained to our society now, who's not going to want to be enhanced, quote unquote, enhanced, just to compete?
Yeah, I mean, look at the dehumanizing conditions that most people are willing to accept for themselves and others in order to get ahead. Right now. I mean, it's simply staggering, folks. Right? There will be no question in the future that people will opt to combine themselves with machines, so that we will have to basically, fight to maintain our own humanity. Right? So, if that is what they are planning to do in the near future, then I think you should start asking the question where you stand and all that, because they said they're developing nano machines, self-replicating. Their goal is to have them self-replicating. Their goal is to control the human nervous system and to send messages to people via radio signals, right? So, and they've said that they've proved that all of this is already possible, right? So, what are people sitting around and doing exactly? Like, what's all their achievement? Are they trying to support technological progress? Are they trying to fight against people who are trying to combine with machines, or what? What's the plan here, folks? Right? I'm just one guy, right? So what do you guys want to do?
I mean, I guess we're gonna, resistance is futile. Assimilation is inevitable, apparently. But one of the things he was talking about is everything he's talking about is kind of like an external manipulation of, say, environment or whatever. But if you have something like this going on in your nervous system and implanted in you, why not be able to send signals through your body, like to, control your diet, to send the right signals that would destroy cancer, or somewhat be beneficial to the body itself, because that has to be a part of it if the thing is supposed to survive with in a fleshly coexistence. The fact that we haven't seen anything come out or emerge, like some sort of radio frequency shift generator type of technology to basically eradicate any, I don't know, spike protein viruses, cancer cells. They may not be, I don't know. Maybe they're not as far as advanced as we think, or they're just hiding it.
I mean, it might just depend on which area of technology. Some might be
Because
more advanced than others.
Yeah, if there's a way to market and sell any of that, they're going to do it. That's for sure.
Well, we all know that first it's used for military purposes and then it's commercialized, right? So, I mean, this is what's going to actually happen, right? And yeah, because being designed at a level, I mean, that is, requires centralization, and yeah, so we're on that chapter there with Elul on centralization, the state, uh, the economic man, and the use of technique. So that is where we'll be going next time with it, right? And tomorrow we'll begin a reading by Danny Hillis about creating machines that can think. He's trying to create neural networks, okay, that function separate from the human brain. So that's a completely different idea than cyborg stuff. Is the idea of artificial intelligence and creating the intelligence that could function on its own apart from human intelligence, right? So yeah, so that is a whole separate idea, right? That we're going to get into tomorrow with Danny Hillis, who's part of the Long Now Foundation with Stuart Brand, right? So we're going to be taking a deep look at the ideas of. Now, I also think he's a member of Singularity University or something like that. So yeah, it's interesting connections, and then we'll move back to to Uncle Teddy, right? We've read some of his thoughts against the transhumanists. We'll continue with his views against Ray Kurzweil, right? So that's basically where we're at. We've taken a long look into ideas of Kurzweil, his notions. Tomorrow we'll look at or continue on with some of this. I was supposed to read Kurzweil and Uncle Teddy, but I think I'll just save that for tomorrow. There's enough stuff to do tomorrow. We'll be doing a entire show tomorrow, covering Elul, the Tao Te Ching, transhumanism, right, as we've been doing right on this show, through a very long series, right? Basically, combined with these Tuesday shows, right? There's ridiculous amount of episodes there, right? I mean, seems to be over 79 installments there, right? And each of those installments opens up 2 hours of information, right? That's extremely important for you guys to digest, right? Where I talk about philosophy, theology, political science, political theology, technology, spirituality, the occult. Okay, all of those ideas combined. Right. So I greatly appreciate you guys. Right. and joining me. Please check out the show we did yesterday exposing some of the online debaters. Complete clown shit over there. Okay. Complete total Fed behavior, actually. Trying to slander people and dox them and do all sorts of weird stuff, right? So, we've been cataloging a lot of that information online about how certain online groups are functioning, and of course, there's a lot of corporate espionage, gatekeeping. Okay, people working on behalf of the system when they don't realize it, right? And people that refuse to ask serious questions, they continue to create, basically distractions, dangerous distractions, mind you. Right. And yeah, blessings to all the people that are here. I greatly appreciate your time. Okay. That's basically all we have. Let me drop the link if anybody wants to come up and talk. All right. And
Yeah, man, you're the best breaking this stuff down. Like nobody else gets, down and breaks it down like you do. So I appreciate, what you
I
bring.
appreciate you.
So
I appreciate you, DeFreak.
The Diddy bots, the machines, like what's gonna happen when we combine our ego with a piece of cold steel? That's what is kind of scary to me. Like maybe it could go either way. You could be a total jerk or you could be like the nice guy, whatever. But like how is that going to be determined if they have agency? If they don't, well, I guess it's just a collective, like a Borg queen type, hive, hive, and then it's like, what do you do at that point? What's the purpose of your existence but to go out and try and like, assimilate anything else that's out there, I guess.
Cold steel be a sword.
Does love still exist? Does marriage still exist? Does procreation exist in the way we know it now? Oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw, but the Gattaca, basically the Gattaca scenario was announced this week. They can actually pre-select certain genes before conception now between two adults, and make it kind of pre-genetically engineer before conception the likelihood of certain traits to be expressed. So like it's like in full swing, man.
Genetically modified humans. Direct modification.
I mean, they can get as specific as like know your height, take away any like addictive trait tendencies, your hair color, your eye color, your IQ. I think it even said so. Like, they we're in the full swing of this whole transition, I guess you could say. Is love just going to be a feeling that is pumped through your, neurochip or whatever, and like, oh, I feel good or whatever. I feel love, like I'm petting my dog or something, or is there going to be any affection whatsoever? Or is it just going to be, oil your joints and take about a 20-minute break and back to the grind of, harvesting, querying rock and, assimilating other species in the galaxy, something like that. I think that mankind needs to take a look in the mirror right about now.
Yeah, wisely said, DeFreak. All right. So it looks like nobody's coming up. I appreciate you guys for being here with me. Would you guys like to say anything else to these people before we take off of here?
Well, I enjoy everyone, except for one in particular person. I'm not going to say his name or anything, but
It's not Brown's boy, is it?
no, it's not.
Okay.
Sad,
Not at all.
So he's hated everywhere. Right. But I love him.
But yeah, man, having fun on the YouTube stuff. So I appreciate everyone. So thanks for having me up.
Yeah, peace, brethren. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and of course we'll be back tomorrow. How about you, Red? You got anything to say?
Do not seek the treasure.
Exactly. Do not seek the treasure of transhumanism. You can't kill what you can't see. The first step to blinding somebody is getting them to open their eyes. And the first step to seeing beyond the program is to realize how we've been programmed. And and the more free you think you are, the more likely you're actually enslaved. Okay, freedom is not a static goal. A static prize, but a dynamic goal. Okay, a prize continually to be won. Excuse me. But yeah, I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys being here with me. And yeah, it's been a great time. Thank you. We'll be back tomorrow on The Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And I hope you guys have clarity to, see through the lies. Okay, my friends. Thank you for being here. Actually, let me go with this instead. The Beast Vision. Yeah, here we go.
While half the world starving, suppressing this iridium Hubble spaceship with a rogue general named Electric, with financial interests in fusional nuclear weapons, will broadcast the launch of fake holy war while you watch Kobe score 40 during the playoffs of Armageddon. Alpha Bravo Zulu time, keep America online guessing. Hand back my style and essence. What the fuck are you even thinking? Cabbage Patch, Kentucky Fried Wicked, Edomite chicken. Don't worry, mommy, Nintendo served as the covert secret training. So why little Joey became a collateral damage sand trooper agent. Deep in the killing fields with Wacom as the only source of entertainment. The same little techno Autobots you watch crush each other for harmless enjoyment. And soon time will be on remote control protest crowd deployment. Titanium elbow jointed, cracking your primitive cerebral cortex. Got you uncertain channel surfing. Who's behind the control surface in certain bloody escalation tampaks? The true nature of the threat. Viciously rip free speech out the throat by clarinets. To keep Halliburton call out group profit in the dark. So every nuclear winter the Bin Laden and George exchange Christmas cards. Why do you think Saddam most trusted warring regiments called the Republican Guard?
Demons fight demons on Beast Vision. Tonight at 5 after the presidential speech. Biblical Babylon fixation on dinosaurs, demigods, and winged creatures. Secret material DNA and all land walking mammals. The mind lose energy, developing cheap pressure. Bone compression process step by step. Sitting low in a microcosmic orbit. Internal exercise of the eye sockets. Receiving transmissions of mathematical substance. Proof the projecting dining in the living room is flat. Neo-national geographic man. Hanna-Barbera aftershock of the master plan. Blueprint of the matrix. Perspective already mastered man. Destined to destroy itself. Making into info worship where Satan steals your soul from behind a TV screen. Enter accessories for 1995 plus shipping and handling. Trapped in the square spectrum of light by Superman's father. Slipping towards the biosphere of the earth atmosphere to the glass shatter. Antimatter. Deflecting asteroids from the planet using my photonic force shield. Animal bypass surgery. Helium 6 chip perfected identity unification. First century television broadcast Christ execution across the Roman Empire. 666 Roman numerology engraved in the Pope's crown. 30 minutes of watching the false light reduce simulation of brain activity. All die. Please vision.
Resistance is impossible. You said you were time travelers.
There is nothing. The special blood of Jesus Christ is the only thing that can remove the stench of sin from your soul. The blood of Jesus Christ is the only thing that can stop the death angel from invading your family.
A dragon which escaped from the underground lab. Physical and historical evidence of one of the most notorious figures of hip-hop blast. The spider web helps to solve a killing. You try to find who killed the MCs and why their bodies are mummified in my building. For 200 years, blood was spilled in the name of God. Is that a critical statement? Bomb shelters, jungle hideaways, underground missile base. Professors murdered in their homes, memoirs decimating victims. There is a majestic death when a computer virus penetrates the radio operating systems. Warships and submarines lurking around. Deep combat conditions, battlefield photography. At night, something unusual falls from the sky in the distance. A time traveler is sentenced to death for violating laws against technology. An ex-convict in a swamp, nobody follow me. There have been the remnants of 1,000 explosions. Ghostly descendants arise from the old down from the mountains. I leave you broken. The invention of death, the shrieking earth and threat. Far cry instincts, predator, clash of the ninjas, theft. A city fight night to set apart from the rest. The age of earth, wilderness, the societies of insects. The invention of death, the shrieking earth and threat. Far cry instincts, predator, clash of the ninjas, theft. A city fight night to set apart from the rest. The age of earth, wilderness, the societies of insects. Where archaeologists tell of dangers they face. The sole survivor of a parallel world dies in an earth place. A military tactician thrift stores Hawaiian objects. Listen, I'm the ghost of Christmas past. You die on Christmas. A whale attacks an 1820 whaling ship and inspires Moby Dick. Beware sport. I've infiltrated and isolated an airport. I might write 161 books. I am the night like the glowing eyes of a wolf. At the urging of a dying author, there is a redemption. Serial killers, both real and fictional, consume their victims. 18 enemy soldiers die on this mission. I will be heard throughout the future span, seen on the computer scan. Arise with newer fans. I'll take a swing at Superman. A microchip with red numbers like an inmate with a murder conviction who slumbers and re-risen. A sword cut your eye with precision. A giant ocean eel preys on your henchmen. Some believe Satan roams the earth in the quest to destroy mankind, detested by a bishop. I rip your vocal cord with my sentence. In the heart is true religion. I dance with a dead mistress. The invention of death, the shrieking earth and threat. Far cry instincts, predator, clash of the ninjas, theft. A city fight night to set apart from the rest. The age of earth, wilderness, the societies of insects. The invention of death, the shrinking earth and threat. Far cry instincts, predator, clash of the ninjas, theft. A city fight night to set apart from the rest. The age of earth, wilderness, the societies of insects. The sound of 6 large explosions, MC's bodies found in a helicopter crash. As I'm coasting, a series of bizarre deaths that coincide with strange astrological phenomena. Cherokee and Choctaw, you're poisoned to death by a tomahawk. Threat stories, the crowd treks through the Amazon rainforest. Night vision technology, the shot that started the Great War was probably seen. Thrown from a man in broken MC's collar and spleen. Tank destroyers, elephant gun, dive bomber scream. I initiate psychoanalysis, where the uninvited die this year, the longest Halloween. After your battleship sinks, because of me, hundreds of fans survive in shark-infested waters. The sky strikes lightning, race to locate a device that will obliterate this Viking. A military plane and its crew disappear while investigating a UFO sighting. You are an incompetent commander who costs lives in your destruction. Incomparable war machines, a man is brutally attacked at night in his living quarters above his bar for dealing with corruption. The crowd investigates death cases on this production. I will give a king into the hands of his enemy if he can't be trusted. Of all supervillains, blood spilling to their descendants, the Divergent series Allegiant Diligence. I take over Fry's Electronics, consumer electronics company. I kill rappers in the countryside comfortably. Up shook, the place looks while I shatter your install messenger on Facebook. The death of Voltron, but he rises again from one of the world's biggest brooks. Tourist attraction, contraction, lightning action, causing a brain extraction. I do the exaction with fractions at your side distraction. You're impenitent, that means unrepentant. Obdurate, recuse it. I murder you with all surgery inventions, abuse it. I harass, laugh, and and kill with chloroplast. Animal cells do not have chloroplast. I blast like a cannonball and explode. Great war is taking place fast. I'm sharp-sighted at night. It's the discomfiture of titans. A robot monster frightening. I sock you through a diving helmet and you start crying. Well, what happens when I start rapping? Rappers shit themselves. Peace to Celts who rock pelts. You scream for help. I cause your musculophrenic artery to melt. Strong advocate of human rights like Eleanor Roosevelt. The rhyme explodes Orion's belt. No stealth, I'm overfelt. Where I dwelt, Darth Vader knelt. From word spell, collapse shelf. You wreck your car, crash dealt, and die in a seatbelt. I kill a couple MCs in a tunnel. You crumble, your interface is pummeled. Your girl stumbles. Rappers are troubled by heart attacks in a huddle. You're disgruntled, the ground conks out under you. An asteroid trudges your group. Galactus hovers above you and smothers you. There's no quizzing the fact that Holocaust is risen. I stiffen, the best rapper isn't. Wu-Tang commission business, women audition. Aerospace is chicken, dope hidden rappers give in. Listen, you've captured a pigeon in a shattered prison. There's no quizzing the fact that Holocaust is risen. I stiffen, the best rapper isn't. Wu-Tang commission business, women audition. Aerospace is chicken, dope hidden rappers give in. Listen, you've captured a pigeon in a shattered prison. Godzilla's the king of all monsters, great your bonkers, secret space launchers, boxers and daughters at my concert. I conquer doctors, gangsters haunter, dollars and honors, horror hunters ponder. Prehistoric lobsters and rap rosters, robbers, flying saucers, stronger sponsors, kill imposters. I explode dishwashers, rhymes like armed Navy helicopters over foreign waters. Peace to Cookie Monster, I comatose watchers who don't moniker. Mr. Commodore 64, the monitor auditor, blockbuster, too popular for gossipers. Gobbler of astrologers, omnivore orbiter, gravity softener, explosion vomiter, an astronomer who used a barometer, binocular to kill a biographer, radio interferometer author, resistance thermometer, destruction cinematographer, vinyl polymer. I kill rappers with a magnetometer and mass spectrometer, the interlocular goniometer photographer. I electronically chemically castrate MCs at kilometers, consular, foreigner, polar, forester, globular, mud wasp sonar, heart donor. I colder solar explosion your molar, because of Arnold Schoenberg your soul hurt. Kids rap along in strollers. The comptroller controller that drops on soldiers is steamroller. You have an odor. Industry dozer with a cola. I've captured the Joker's broker. Photovoltaic the wind blower. Archaic the owner. Mosaic and truth beholder. Ribonucleic motor. I kilowatt shoulders. Come closer. I smolder the president's folder with a flamethrower. There's no quizzing the fact that Holocaust is risen. I stiffen, the best rapper isn't. Wu-Tang commission business, women audition. Aerospace is chicken, dope hidden rappers give in. Listen, you've captured a pigeon in a shattered prison. There's no quizzing the fact that Holocaust is risen. I stiffen, the best rapper isn't. Wu-Tang commission business, women audition. Aerospace is chicken, dope hidden rappers give in. Listen, you've captured a pigeon in a shattered prison.
Every time I stop, it seems stuck. Soon as you try to step off the cannabis, the megalithic master craftsman, closet meteorologist. Look at the clouds, a storm's coming. That's common sense. I think about this giant monstrosity. 10W40 blood viscosity, big enough to kill the whole colony. Block a low kiss on the oil leaking from the barrel drum. I did it all for dinosaur blood. The sky's falling, ocean levels rising from warming. Too much carbon, we all know the real causes. Jet planes in the skies are stalling. Dark night, riot squads are forming. Snakes are calling, rap jumping shit, but the water is boiling. Produce is spoiling, state of affairs appalling. Can't believe people still snoring. Wake up and stop yawning. Vengeance is mine in the morning. Speech, recognize speech. Mobile phone signals out of reach. Data plan says your talk is cheap. The king is a captive, trapped by his own inaction. Celebrated after global disaster. That's before the Arthur Poor Parker was captured. His golden palace was collapsed amidst great ashes that were once wide green pastures with panthers, dragons, tigers, and rappers. He is but a man of minor stature, the megalithic master craftsman.
Futurism, writing abuse and lyrics. My opinion of your opinion is you can't be serious. Dubism and futurism, writing abuse and lyrics. My opinion of your opinion is you can't be serious. Dubism and futurism, writing abuse and lyrics. My opinion of your opinion is you can't be serious. Dubism and futurism, writing abuse.
My brain ain't getting enough oxygen. I built the robot in cannabis and now nobody's stopping us. Black hoodie in the streets, lumberjack fleece. The beast from the east by the thunderclap beats. Ability from the baggage, drop it. Hip hop is toxic. I administer the detox process all over the beat. I rap with my robot to feel complete. He can rap better than me. Not a hard thing to do to cut RTR loose. He gon' show every one of you he got the juice. Personal revelations regarding self-preservation, daily wealth generation, and healthy meditation. Cool, but I can't, so I shit my pants. I'm okay, I go sit over there. You go dance, have fun, go find romance. Can a matchbox man? No, but a tin can. Grant me the cloud, I'ma fix this thing. Give me a mic, I might decline to sing. Living for lyric, layer for layer, prayer for prayer. They want the future thinking I'm a failure. Gotta write some bars, essentially kept on cloud storage. Cause I ain't got the memory for it. I gotta do my best if I can really pull my own weight. These the island stone face told me to wait. Strength of vitality, Darrow Indians dance for me. Half a dozen UFOs land from 7 billion minds. Couldn't